What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So I want to add an overhead hoist or an overhead trolley for moving around large, awkward objects like the D100 bed here. I mean, getting this thing up on end was sketchy enough, so I want to make it just a little bit safer to get back down. So let's get to it. So I've already started the preliminary work here. I've already done this. I'm just showing you guys exactly how I did this. So what I did was I came out 8 feet from this wall, came out, I marked one of the ceiling studs. And then I laid this laser level so that I could have a nice straight line. And then I came up and I started tracking down exactly where the center of that ceiling stud was. Just took a finish nail, started driving it in until I found out where the edge was, and I knew about how wide it was. Came across, again, using a small finish nail, found the other edge, and then I marked the center. And I did that for each ceiling stud because I wanted to make sure that my lag bolt was as centered in the ceiling stud or ceiling joist as possible. I didn't want my lag bolt to get near an edge where it could easily tear out. I wanted to make sure I was near the center. So I got all that laid out here, did that for each. Where is it? Over there, one between the lights there and over there also, a little dark. But I did that for each ceiling stud, each ceiling joist, and that gives me the exact location to add my hangers for this 10-foot piece of unistrut right here. So I'm gonna start putting up these unistrut hangers, and that'll give me a way to secure the hoist that's in this box. Now that the unistrut is secured to the ceiling, I can work on getting the hoist set up. Now the hoist will be hanging from that unistrut on 2 of these rollers. These wheels will go up inside the unistrut and they'll suspend the hoist. Now about the way that I mounted the unistrut. Normally I would have liked to gone like up in an attic space to hang some rod to secure everything above the ceiling joists, but I have bedrooms above my garage. So there's no space up there. Now, but those ceiling joists, when I measured those things out, it's like 4x lumber. So the face that I screwed into is about 3.5, 4 inches wide. The depth of those things, I'm guessing they're like 12, maybe even deeper. I did try to kind of measure up in there. I don't know if they're like eye joists or regular dimensional lumber. But the space between the depth of that ceiling space, or the void in there, is like over 12 inches. So those are pretty beefy ceiling joists, plus the way that they're spanning. I mean, they're going all the way from this wall right here to the front of the house. I mean, and this is, you know, a garage. So that's that span is pretty far. So those are some pretty beefy joists. Even if they're eye joists, since I got those lag bolts directly into the center, I'm not that worried about it. Now I'm not going to be hanging, 2,000 pounds from the ceiling joists. So, whatever, which I'll get into in a minute, the rating of this hoist, I'm not even going to be lifting anything that's at the rating of this hoist. So I'm not worried about the integrity of the way that I bolted that unistrut to the ceiling. Let's get this thing unboxed and take a closer look at it. So here's the shipping little information that was in the box. I'll leave a link to this hoist down below. This is a Vevor hoist. This one's rated at 660 pounds. Now normally, and that's just with a single cable. If you were to double that cable back up on itself, you could lift twice that. So 1,200 pounds, 1,300 pounds. There's no way I'm gonna lift that much from that ceiling. Even 660 pounds, I doubt I'm ever gonna lift that much. I'm not gonna lift that much from my ceiling. So this hoist is more than enough. And there's a reason why I went with this hoist. A couple reasons actually. I mean, the price was really good. Like I said, I'll leave a link down below. At the time that I bought this, it was 125 bucks. Now granted, it is Vevor, you know, same as like Harbor Freight, anything like that. But there was one specific reason that I went with this hoist. I mean, normally you find these things, like I said, at Harbor Freight or some of the smaller ones like this, they're rated at like 440 pounds, something like that. This one happened to be rated, like I said, 660. So let me get this thing out of here and I'll show you the main reason that I went with this hoist. Now, I don't know if you noticed when I was hanging the unistrut, you saw that there was a red plug in the ceiling. There was actually a junction box there, and that's where my lights were. Some of my lights were wired into that junction box. I just took the junction box out, wired a plug in that runs off. That way it's plugged into the same switch as my lights. So that I put a red one in there just so I know, and just so, you know, future people might realize that's only live when the lights are on. Just something I did. And so this is the Vevor PA300. So again, rated at 660 pounds. Of course, made in China. Whatever. But the main reason that I went with this one is this right here. This actually has a wireless remote. That's why I went with this one. That, like I said, in the price, this was actually cheaper than other models with less capacity and that had a wired remote. I didn't want a wired remote. That's one less thing that I gotta have hanging from my ceiling. I mean, the power cord, which I'm gonna have to wire in a new power cord because this is not gonna be long enough. So I will be taking this apart and wire in a longer power cord so that it can reach the full 10-foot span of that unistrut. But yeah, this was the main reason why I ordered this hoist. I wanted the wireless remote. So before I can get this thing up there though, I need to get the mounts done. So there's already 4 threaded holes in the top here, and these will line up. So I'll be able to just bolt these in. Of course, it didn't come with any hardware. The hangers or the rollers didn't come with any hardware. Neither did the hoist itself. And those are probably metric bolts, and I don't have any metric bolts. Let me see what I can find out. All right, so I was wrong. I found it. There was mounting hardware. The bag was just jammed down between the frame here and the motor. So it does come with 8mm coarse thread bolts. So I can use these now to mount the rollers. I think I might need some larger washers though. I don't think these washers are quite gonna cut it. Let me see what I have. Maybe, washers. Maybe, probably. Yeah, I don't think these are quite gonna be large enough washers. They barely span that opening. So, let me go get some fender washers. All right, so I've got the hangers mounted. Now, before I go and put it up on the ceiling, I want to test this thing out. So I got the batteries put into the remote, It's got some of this plastic, just protector stuff around the wire, around the hoist. So I want to get that off. So start, let's go down. Like I said, there's tape around the cable. So, yeah, it's gonna get messy. I guess I could have just cut that off with a razor or something, but I had to test it out anyway before I hung it. All right, and it's got the safety cut off here, so if you go up too far, it disables the motor. All right, so I think that's a little seal for in there. I can get this thing hung up on the ceiling. Now, like I said, I do definitely need to extend the power cable so that this thing can roll the full 10 feet along the ceiling, along the unistrut. All right, so after looking at the paperwork a little bit more, or actually looking at the paperwork, yes, this thing is rated at 660 pounds, but that is double hooked. So that means the cable comes down, goes through like a pulley, gets hooked back up top. That way it gives you a double cable for lifting. That's where it's rated at 660 pounds. This says the PA300, single hook, 150 kilos, so 330, 300 kilos, 660. So I'm still not gonna be lifting 660 pounds with this setup. Mainly I got it, obviously for lowering the bed, but you know, if I need to move other heavier items around the garage, I don't have to necessarily pull out my engine hoist. I can just hook this thing up. Like I said, it does have 10 feet of unistrut up there, so I can, you know, slide, I can back the truck in, maybe lift something out of the back, pull the truck out and set it down without having to like get the engine hoist out of the corner and get that whole thing all set up. Like I said, now obviously for heavier loads, I'm going to use the engine hoist. I'm not going to hang 600 pounds from ceiling joists necessarily. Don't plan to anyway. We'll see. Maybe that might make for pretty epic failure. But who knows? Maybe this will turn into a how to fix drywall session. Appreciate you guys for watching. Hit that subscribe, hit the bell. I'll see you on the next one. Not quite ready to let it down yet.